Postman banging out some classic 90s hits. I like it. Hello, I'm Liam from Lazarus Personal Training. Today I'm looking at two topics. They are unilateral versus bilateral training and just being average. So first off, I hope you're well. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, maybe give it a like. As I mentioned, today I'm looking at two topics. That first topic is about unilateral versus bilateral strength resistance training. So when we're looking at bilateral, this is two limbs, so two arms, two legs. Tends to be more compound movements, tends to be more strength training based, usually incorporates a barbell. And when it comes to unilateral training, we're looking at single limb, so a single arm, single leg, tends to be more dumbbell, kettlebell based. I did a video on this a couple of months back. I've linked it above. Have a watch of that if you want to go into a little bit more in detail about it. The reason I bring this up is that today my training incorporated both bilateral and unilateral training. I went into a barbell complex where I was doing bent over rows and then into some straight leg deadlifts. Felt good. Felt like I was getting a little bit more out of it. Almost felt a little bit easy, so I might have to make that a little bit harder as we go on. And then as I came towards the back end of the session, I threw in some single arm lat raises. Now with that, the reason I bring this up is because it's a debate that I have in my head sometimes about which is better. For bilateral training where we're using two limbs, where it's a bit more compound based, with that we can overload the movement, we can really create some strength in that motion, and basically we can almost drag the weaker side up with the stronger side if we're focusing on form and technique. However, when it comes to unilateral work, we can really single out that arm, we can really focus on if that's moving correctly. Again, if you watch my content, you know my left arm and my right arm have two different levels. I could really focus in on that left arm more than I could if I was doing bilateral training. So the question is, which is better? For me, I have a bias towards bilateral training. I love a barbell movement, I get a lot out of it, I really enjoy it. I don't program as much unilateral work, but with that I should probably program a little bit more unilateral work, and that's something that I'm going to be working on as I develop my programming going forward for myself in this isolated time. And then from there I want to touch on the topic of being average. Looked at myself this morning and so I went, Liam, you're getting a bit fluffy. Couple of months back I was quite happy with how I was looking, but now I look at myself and go, I've sort of slipped a little bit, which is understandable. We're in a lockdown, I'm eating more food, I'm less active. It's quite a common occurrence and that's absolutely fine, and it's something that I need to recognise. This fits into a bigger picture of a lot of insecurities that I can have around social media and just being in this fitness space. The common description of a PT is a big dude who's constantly jacked and constantly ripped, eats a really clean diet, but then also preaches about eating donuts and pizzas all the time despite having an 8-pack. So with that, it becomes a bit of a game of, I'm not the biggest guy in the world, I'm not the strongest guy in the world. I look on social media and I'm pretty average. My content, I guess, is pretty average. It's not setting the world alight by any means, but the counter side to that is that I'm producing stuff. I hope that this content allows people to realise that the world isn't just made up of extremely jacked dudes lifting silly amounts of weight. Yes, they gain the most popularity. Yes, they get the views for entertainment. But I hope this content becomes a bit more informative and allows people to change their actual training style and get the most out of it. For me, I have to recognise where I've come from being a skinny 17-year-old kid that didn't know what to do in the gym, to now being slightly less skinny. It's been a good probably 10 years of training for me now, and I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. I feel like every day, every time I train, I try and get better, or at least I'm making progressions in some form. If you ever feel like it's not worth doing, it's not worth training, why am I training, what's the point? Have a look at where you've come from. I think this is a really important part about tracking and progression and just having some semblance of what you've done in the past. It can be a really difficult topic to handle, and I think especially in this time where we become isolated, we get a little bit more fluffy. It's that time to sort of go, actually, I've done pretty well, and even if I'm not at my physical peak at the moment, I know my knowledge is a lot better than it has been. It's sort of a ramble, a little bit of a self-rant there. I hope it sort of resonates a little bit and sort of gives you a bit of perspective if you're feeling a little bit down at the moment. My question for you today is, would you prefer to have a barbell or would you prefer to have a set of dumbbells? This is more just so I can get an idea about what people prefer doing. And that brings me to the end of the video. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like, maybe share it with someone that might find this informative. If you really like the content, subscribe. I'll keep posting these up because it gives me a bit of an accountability and hopefully it helps you out. I've been Liam, this is Lazarus Personal Training, and I will see you soon.